Hi there. Okay, well, we're going to continue on. We've got the pattern of our moccasin, and now we're going to use that pattern to cut out our leather. I just wanted to show you the leather that we'll be using. It's very nice leather. This is cowhide. It looks black, but it's really dark navy blue. It's nice and supple, and it measures about just a little over 1 millimeter thick. Okay, so it's not anything like buffalo or anything like that, and it has been thinned out. This isn't the whole cowhide for thickness, but it's been thinned out on a skiver. And so that's the leather that we're going to be working with. And here is our pattern. I've transferred it over to a stiffer paper, and we can you make sure you remember that there's left and a right foot. So I've gone ahead and I've made the left foot, and what I've done is with the outline of the person's foot, I've got the little hole punched about 1/4 of an inch in from the top and about 1/4 of an inch in from the bottom. And so that's I've drawn that on the on the face side of the leather. And when you do that, check it, make sure that you've got equal amounts on both sides. Okay, so measure it and make sure you're relatively close all the way around. Go ahead, draw your foot pattern, and the marker that I use is a water erasable pen. It's called V Clear, and I'm really happy with it. It goes on clear, and then when it dries, it turns the white color. It's much better than chalk, which seems to get everywhere, and this is very erasable. A little bit of water and it's gone. Okay, so once you've got your outline of your footprint, what you need to do is to sew around on the inside of it. Give yourself about 1/4 of an inch, and unfortunately I didn't use a very good thread, but it will be covered up, so it doesn't matter what color it is. Go all the way around, sew through the leather so it comes out on this side. Then what I do is I add some extra insulation to the bottom, because I would think that almost half of your heat is lost through the bottom part of your moccasin. I pay special attention to it, and I always add an extra layer of something to the inside of the moccasin. And what I found works really good is a roll of this stuff. It's got a mesh into it, and what it's regularly used for is for a lining on top of your shelves in a motorhome, so your dishes don't vibrate all over in the cupboards when you're traveling. This gets cut to size for your shelving, and that way your dishes don't bounce all over the place. But it works really good. It's an insulator, as well as it gives some cushioning effect to the bottom of your foot. Now, of course, depending on your sewing machine, dependent on how many layers you can put in, but we'll try to get the most bang for our buck in using the insulation that works the best, that our sewing machine will be able to handle. Here is how I folded over the tabs. So I cut them about every 3/4 of an inch, and then I used the glue stick. This is the one that I found that works best. You have to order them on the internet, and I've done some tests with the different glue sticks, and this is the one that I found that works the best, and it's really good with leather, and it dries very quickly. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is what I've done. I've used the glue stick, glued down the extra insulation on the bottom of the moccasin, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark out the other one. So I'll just show you how I do that. We got to remember, again, we've got a left and a right. So we've done the left, so just flip your pattern over and set it in a place where you can get it about 3/8 to 1/2 an inch seam allowance all the way around it. Okay, and I'll put a marker on, weight on here so it doesn't get away. Okay, first thing I'll do so I don't forget is to put our marks here. Okay, now I'll draw it around. And as it goes around, you can't, it doesn't look like you're really putting anything on. And what I've done is, on the other side, you would see the 2 horizontal lines that are right behind the heel. Well, what I've done is I've cut out 2 notches, and that allows me to know where that line goes on the opposite side. Okay, and we got these good. We'll take that off, and you can see the mark that we've put on there very well. Okay, now take your foot, and I use this little pointy thing to get my foot where it's supposed to go, and then I'll line up the other hole down here at the bottom. Good. And you can check it with your ruler again just to make sure that you're reasonably close. And then down at the bottom we should be 1 inch away. Okay, so we're looking pretty good there. Then take your marker again. Draw around your foot. Okay, there's that. Then take your ruler, and this is where you need these marks from the notches. Okay, so we'll put one there and one there, and you'll be using these when you sew in your lining and when you sew in the insulation. And this one should be just touching the heel. Okay, now that's it. So I'm going to, when I cut this out, I'm going to cut it out on the outside by about 3/8 to 1/2 an inch all the way around. I'm sorry, that's not quite right. Only from this corner to this corner and the back, you leave your allowance, 3/8 to 1/2 an inch. This part here will get cut out exactly the shape and size. Okay, now in order for me to cut out for these notches on the inside, I know I've allowed about 1/2 an inch. And what I've done with my scissors, I've taken a marker, a file, and I've marked a couple different graduations here. And so rather than having to measure every single one, I just put it in so far, and then I snip it, and I know that I've got exactly the 1/2 an inch. So you don't have to measure them all. Just if you put a mark on your scissors, even just with a felt pen, that'll be good enough to get you through. So that's how I do it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do exactly the same with this one as I did with this one, and then we'll come back and work with the lining and with the insulation. Okay, thank you much for watching. Okay, hello there. Well, there was something that I've neglected to mention to you while you're busy sewing the different parts up, and that is the tongue. Okay, so this is what the tongue looks like when it's sewn up. And again, it's got the liner, the satin liner. Inside it is the insulation here. Okay, and then again about 1/2 an inch to 5/8 of an inch stitching from this outside. And this again is, I think, where we left off on one video. So I've got the tabs folded over and glued down with a glue stick. Okay, and then I take the satin liner, lay it down, lay the insulation on top, take the leather, put it down, and you can use some clips to clip it, and then go to your sewing machine and again run it around about 5/8 of an inch. Now remember, this toe is what holds everything together, so when you punch the holes, use small holes. And that's another reason why you need this reinforcing here, because you're going to pull really tight to make those gathers at the toe. And this is the only thing that holds everything together. So make sure that you got lots there, and don't punch the holes too close to the edge. Give yourself a bit of room there, but I'll show you about the stitching on a later video. So don't forget to do up your tongues, and if you are going to make anything fancy, do it before you put the insulation and the liner in. Okay, if you're going to do some beadwork or some embroidery, do it now before you sew everything together. Okay, so obviously I'm not doing anything with this. They're just going to be plain toes, but you could very easily add some beads to it. Okay, well that's the toes. Okay, well thanks for watching again, and have a good afternoon.